it's not about motivation. You don't rise because you're motivated. You rise because your daily structure makes failure hard.
Yeah. Okay. It makes it impossible to fail. Yeah.
That's right. Environment over willpower. You're staying in the wrong mission, in the wrong environment. You're staying in the wrong identity. And even then, they still call it discipline. Real hard performance. They don't just push harder. They don't. They realign faster.
Welcome to the Bot Podcast. Today, we'll break down how to push your limits, get outrageous results, and also find purpose without overload or burnout. My guest today is JD Tremblay, a man who really pushes his own limits and inspires others to break limiting beliefs and transform into a better, stronger, healthier, and more fulfilled version of themselves. Welcome, JD.
I'm excited to be here, Georgios. Thanks for having me.
Perfect. JD, you are an ultra triathlete, ex-military, right? And also you are director of the Hungary Warrior Academy. Also, you are, correct me if I'm wrong, one of the only 3 people who've done this EpicDeca, which is a crazy feat, like 10 triathlons in 10 days.
10 Ironman, correct. Yes. Yes.
What kind of person signs up for something like that?
Yeah, it's funny that you're asking because I wrote on a newspaper and nobody picked up on it. That's how delusional or crazy this world is. Many people saw it. I said, you need to have mental problems to be signing up for these feet. And nobody picked up on it. Nobody called me to see if I was okay. It was just, hey, I have mental problem. Like I'm saying, I have mental problems. All of these people that are doing these amazing feat, they have mental problem. Please reach out to them. Nobody reached out. Nobody is saying that. We're
Really?
laughing because those are crazy feat. Those are amazing feat. And they're inspiring to people because our limits are really, we can be much further in society if we all work together and we have a structure, but really there seemed to be no community in that sense. So I'm glad you're asking this question.
Of course. And I'm asking because there are a couple of reasons. So, on the one hand, I know that obsessive traits, if they're nurtured in the right environment, can be turned into a superpower, right? What motivated you to do something like that?
Well, I like to study the human body. I like to study the limits and what happened when the human stops negotiating with his own limit. I always love that. And I love data points and learning how you can push them. So I tried many things to get out of these mental struggles, and pushing my limits, it always helped and brought me to another stage. It was almost like we can't say this word on podcast, but I'm sure everybody or everybody can know this word, but you want to delete yourself or you want to unalive yourself in a way that you're going to be almost remember, and then you push a limit that is further, and then you realize, well, I can't accomplish this. How about I just go further? And how about I go further? And then eventually it's almost like you find this sense of purpose through it, which is quite odd because you're pushing the limits, wanting something that is completely dark. And meanwhile, everybody's watching you go through this and somehow you succeed. So then people want to know more about it. And then you reach a certain stage where now what I like is that I'm studying more about it. So it's not just while I'm doing it and pushing guys to achieve a peak performance, not really knowing. It's more of a, I'm going to yell at you. And if I yell at you, you're going to achieve that peak performance. It's more of a, because I know now the cycle, I'm going to say cold exposure. I'm going to put you at this temperature for this amount of time for this period. And then you will achieve X result or Y results. And that's what I like about our approach, is that it's more of a scientific approach more than just brute force and forcing yourself through that system.
Yes, I agree. And talking about science, still to this day, there are a lot of myths and misconceptions of how a brain works, what drives human performance. We only associate that with high performance athletes, but in reality, everybody needs to have regulated nervous system. Why do these people who sign up? You said they have mental problems. Did I hear this right? What do you mean?
It's not the norm. It's not the norm. And I said it to every single person that I've raced with or been a part of these types of event. I say it to them. None of them has contradicted me. There's not one single person that just said, I'm doing these events because I enjoy them and I got into them with regular training and I have a beautiful life and it's perfect and nothing is wrong in my life. Or no, all these people have some form of, and we're talking about addiction. Okay, we're not just in terms of addiction as in drugs, or I wasn't into drugs or illegal drugs, and I wasn't into binging alcohol or any other type that might be extreme. Sometimes it's in the form of gambling and you're about to lose your wife. And then all of a sudden you you're spending too much and you're not realizing that gambling and your wife, you're making some serious money. You're disciplined and all of a sudden you just want a bit more. And what I mean by more obviously is not more cars or more success or more medals, right? I mean more more of the truth, more capacity. You need more like alignment or impact in the world. That's what you're looking for. And but you just don't know about it. You're just seeking. So sometimes it's a behavioral issue and it becomes this coping mechanism. So we understand with science that once you partake into an event, after an event, you have hormones such as endorphin, and these endorphin calms you down. So now, um, a few years ago, we were not talking about it openly on podcast about these hormones. We were just talking about the brute force. But now it's good that we're able to analyze them and see which one is the best hormone to work on. Or and for these people, what they're seeking is that sense of thrill, that sense of like there's a cycle through that you're going through these hormones and neurotransmitters. And when you're pushing yourselves, then what happened is now you're calming your nervous system, but over time. So you're doing a big giant event and you're seeking that thrill, which that thrill was, for this hypothetical scenario, this guy going through a pinball machine or these machines that you can get some money out. So he's gambling, and now he's about to lose something that is going to put him into a lot of pain because he's about to lose his marriage. Then he's going to go to do an Ironman. then he's going to realize that all of these training leading to the Ironman gives him a certain calmness. He's not gambling anymore or he's gambling less and less because he's just exchanging these behavioral addiction with something that is a bit more healthy. Yet when you look at it from the common men and women, these are not healthy. Like, there's nothing that is healthy about just saying, oh, I'm going to go and swim, bike, and run an entire country. There's nothing healthy about it, like, at all.
Exactly.
No, there's nowhere in history. Okay, the history of a marathon, now whether this is true or not, was that there was the war, and they sent a messenger. He ran 42-kilometer with no nutrition and then died.
Correct. I'm Greek, by the way, so I know this
There you
very good.
go. So you might even know all the areas and everything.
Yeah.
So there. So
Because a marathon, yes.
okay, so they sent the messenger that the war was ending, and now the guy is running 42-kilometer. He delivers the message and dies. Somehow, someone thought that it was a good idea, a healthy idea too, to make it a marathon, to make it an event where people are just signing up for a 42-kilometer run. Then these geniuses, okay, and I talked to a guy who started it, because it started in Hawaii. So when I was doing the EpicDeca, I was talking to a guy who knew all the original people who started it. And there was a race on the island of Oahu, which was 3.8 kilometer of swimming, which was just the swimming portion. But it was just swimming. That's it. Which was more like the marathon of swimming, essentially. That's what it was. But it was just swimming. Then there was another race, which was 180-kilometer, which went around not completely around the island, but halfway through the island and then came back, which was 180.
That's giant, right?
It was only cycling, that's it. And then you move to, the marathon was already an established event. So somehow we went from this guy dying to all of a sudden putting these 3 marathons in 3 different sports all together, smash it into one, and people are signing up for these as they can't have enough. And there's so many memes online about guys signing up for a new race, a new challenge, a new event, and their wife looking at them going, oh, really? You told me last time. It was the last time. So it almost became their addiction. Like, what are you doing, right? And then there was these individuals who, like I said, all of us, all 3 finishers, we had some mental problems for sure. You have some issues because you're going with 10 days on 6 different Hawaiian islands. In 10 days, you're doing that. It's just, why? Clearly, there's something wrong with you. And sometimes we glorify these events because we think that, well, the person has achieved it. Congratulations. But when we look at guys that are laughing and running, let's look at extreme cases. Extreme cases, we're looking at guys in the infantry that are running against a piece of metal willingly in some cases, okay? Okay. In some cases, they signed up in infantry or became tier 1 operators, and they're running towards a piece of metal that is meant to harm them against an individual that wants to unalive them. and you're running towards it. That's your job. Your job is to protect your country. So clearly there is something wrong. Now, can it be used for good? Well, clearly, because I'm on these podcasts. Clearly, because, well, I wrote a book about it. Clearly, because, well, we have in a lot of countries secure countries because of these men. Uh, so it's more on the aspect of thank you for doing your service. Thank you for being a police officer. Or thank you for even Georgios. Thank you for putting this podcast. So now we can broadcast it to people to thank them for their sacrifice. And now we're looking at um, the system. So what's the system? Like how do you get out of it? So it's not just, well, these guys have mental problems and we're gonna give them a system in place that is not meant for them. Definitely, a lot of those guys don't necessarily want to talk about these problems without a system, without being helped, or without direction. So, for instance, and I've coached tier one operators, I've coached elite executives, and and then we break it down into a system to make sure that they're using these feat, these mental problems to showcase that they're useful. I thank you for doing this because during the middle of the night in the shadow, these guys just go do a job. We don't even notice. We don't even know exactly what's going on. All we know is that I can go to the store, purchase some milk without getting attacked because these guys just did a job that might trickle down to those people coming to harm me. So that to me, I'm thankful. But if you're not knowledgeable of it, and if you don't even know the system of how to get out of it, then it's very difficult. And then you're going to grab onto everything. You're going to grab onto everything. So to circle back to the question, a lot of these people, they grab onto these races because it gives them a high and it calms them down. The way I explained it in my book was there's a storm inside of you. You don't even know how to get it out. You don't even know how to express it. And it's not in a psychologist. I tried countless psychologists. Okay, there's lots of good ones out there, but I've tried a lot of them, and just trying to explain what's inside of my head, what's inside of me, what I went through in the military. A lot of people right now listening to it, they're connecting with this because they're saying, well, what about the childhood trauma that I had? What about my life? I made a mess out of it. So the first step I would say is you can get out of it because I did, and I lived some horrible situation, and I came out of it in a way that you still live with the struggle, like the mental struggles. You still live through them, but you're using those mental struggles to now inspire others to live with a sense of purpose, similar to these guys that are tier one operators, similar to these guys that are elite athletes. What are they going to do? They're going to live with the pain, and they're going to showcase and prove with their with how God created them to deliver a certain message or do a task that will require these skills. So and I'm thankful. I'm really thankful that you're asking this question.
JD, lots of very interesting things there. How do you do that? I want to learn about the system primarily, and also with the fact that motivation alone, it won't get you there, right? You need systems. So let's take the high performers that might come to you. What patterns do you see, or what mistakes they make that keeps them into this limiting belief?
So a lot of people will say that limiting beliefs is a mental game, and that might be true for some people. What happened is if you look at physiology and environment, very often those are the limiting beliefs. So if you grew up in an environment that told you were not good enough, that might become your limiting belief. In my case, it was the opposite. My parents were telling me, you're good at everything. So I said, well, since I'm good at everything, I can become the next Michael Jordan. And and I started playing basketball. And I was a tiny little kid. There's no way you're playing basketball. There's no way you are going to be the next Michael Jordan. And if you want to operate at the level of an elite, and I say it to so many clients, okay? If you want to operate at the level of an executive, everybody wants to be the CEO. You look
Mhm.
at these athletes at the Olympic. Wow, they're performing. And everybody either has this mentality or has seen someone like that, where you got the uncle who's drinking a beer and he's looking at the kid who's studying for law school. And he says, oh, lawyer, I could have done that. Oh, I could have definitely done that. He's just drinking his beer, and he might have accomplished something else that is as uh, dominant or as a lawyer, but it's these beliefs sometimes thinking I can operate at that level. I can operate at the level of an executive. I can operate at the level of an elite athlete or a tier one operator. You don't even know the amount of work that goes into building some of these guys. To have a Navy SEAL takes at least 2 years. And we're talking 2 years as training that is strict, regimented. We're talking day and night. And a lot of them do some of them do some desk work, and but they're still getting deployed, and so but they're still training at a level that is much higher, much higher. For example, elite athletes, they say, well, it takes 10,000 hours to build an elite athlete or to be proficient in your sport. Well, 10,000 hours, when you break it down to 8 hours a week, and then you have the recovery, and then you're looking at about 10 years to be a professional athlete. And that's 40 hours a week for, and for 10 years. When you look at, there was an interview with Michael Phelps, and the guy says, I missed birthdays. I missed Christmas. I missed, see, that's what it takes. Kevin O'Leary, a billionaire in Canada. We went to the same school at Western University. And this guy says it on shows. He says, I sacrificed my family life to get that success. I pushed everything aside, and now I'm trying to rebuild everything. Now, whether he has great connection or not with his family at the moment, there will come a time where you will have to sacrifice something to become the person that you want to be. There's no one in the world, not a single person, that has more than 24 hours. Not one. You have 24 hours. I have 24 hours. How are you going to use that 24 hours?
Mm.
So that's why that's why I like your question. That's why I really like your question about it. Yeah.
So, what are some of the systems? Can you walk me through like some of the training that you do? And also, I'd love to hear the science behind it, right?
So the first step was the system. of your question for telling you what we do at the Hungry Warrior Academy. And I'll start with merging it because we just built a little book explaining this system, and I'll give it to you for free. And it's going to be unique because it's for your audience,
Oh,
which will give them
appreciate it.
lots
That's
of value. So I'll send you the link after the podcast.
great. Thank you.
What we use is we can look at the acronym NEXT. Okay, so for what's your next step? What's your next goal? What's that next challenge? Okay, what's the next level? That's the way I could put it. Okay, so the acronym NEXT, what stands for N is for nervous system. So first, and you just talked about it, where these executives are overly stressed. When you stress your nervous system completely, and many will know about it, where this is an amazing tool. I love this thing. It's amazing. This phone is amazing. Lots of knowledge into it. But if you don't know how to regulate yourself with the tool, then you will get an overload on your nervous system. And that's just one of those topics, because we can look at energy levels, sleep, inflammation, the stress chemistry, and really that's just the base. That's just the base. So the nervous system, when you're regulating it, that's the most important part. We look at back in the days, we had we didn't have cell phones, or some of us had cell phones. Say, I know my first cell phone was in 2003, and when we worked, say you work on a car, very often you're working with your hands, and then you leave the tools at your work, and then you go home, and you're not bringing tools at home. That's it. It's done. Those tools stay there. But now, for the majority of businesses, this is your work. This is your work. So, see, yesterday I was in meetings until almost midnight. And then when I got home, the phone is beeping. So am I looking at this phone, or am I going to bed? And then I look and I'm saying, okay, I have all of these emails that I have to answer, and I know they're pressing, but now you have to structure it in your mind to say, I need to prioritize. Where do I prioritize? And that becomes a real challenge. So and that's why we're seeing a rise in executive assistants, or AI executive assistants. And that's because now they need to regulate their CEO to be more focused. So when you regulate the nervous system, it's the base. Okay. And I'm not talking about people that are in fitness or anything. That's a completely different. I would even go with even more basic if I was speaking to guys in fitness, or even with other parts. But for these executive, nervous system is the first one. E is for environment. I would say environment over willpower. Definitely. Because you touched on it earlier, it's not about motivation. Okay, you don't rise because you're motivated. You enjoy the thrill, but there's not a single athlete, and I've coached Olympian athletes. Not one of them is excited every single time. I'm not saying some of them are sometimes excited, but the majority of them waking up at 3, 4 in the morning because they have a workout, and then they're going to go to bed in the middle of the day when everybody's working, and then they work out again, then they go to bed again in the middle of the day when all their friends are partying and having friends over or family dinner, and then they go to work again where another workout, and then they're working out 2-3 times a day and breaking their body and injuring sometimes their mind and having a hormonal, or trying to keep a hormonal balance, but really it's a hormonal imbalance. And then you have the coach over here trying their best to give them the best workout to optimize their performance. Nobody's motivated to do that. Nobody. Okay. So you rise because your daily structure makes failure hard. That's
Mhm.
why.
Yeah. Okay. It makes it impossible to fail. Yeah.
Okay. That's right. So now you see that athlete, that executive rise in the morning. Why? He wakes up. Why? Because he has an environment that create. So for instance, I talked about assistant. Well, an assistant AI or an assistant, right? I prefer human. I prefer that as that AI, because there's the human connection which generates oxytocin. So I prefer that side over AI, even though it's more convenient. And
Yes.
then I tell that person, okay, you use AI, and then I train that person. And there's gonna be failures, of obviously, but if I'm the one that is in charge, I'm there. I understand there's going to be some failure, but I create that environment so that I can move. Okay.
Mhm.
Um. So that's the E in
Mhm.
the framework.
Mhm.
Okay. X. I know it doesn't start with X.
What is it?
Okay. So it's exposure to discomfort.
Okay.
Okay.
Picky.
I know
You
I'm an
still got next.
engineer. Maybe I'm good a bit more with numbers, but I'm not illiterate. Okay.
Okay.
um. So the confidence that you build, and I mean not arrogance, but confidence. Okay. It's through the repeated contact with difficulty. You must face those difficulty. But if you created an environment that is that makes failure difficult or hard, then to achieve, then now your confidence level will be boosted, because now you're exposing yourself to that discomfort. For example, you're going for a I, I always say that these races, this 5 kilometer, 10 kilometer, these marathons or Ironman, they're synthetic. Okay, it's a synthetic level of difficulty
Mhm.
where you can push your limits, but you're in a closed system. You're in a bubble, essentially. You're training for difficulty, but it's still a synthetic one.
Mm.
Once all of a sudden you're a CEO and bam, you get T-boned by a car and you can't get to your next meeting or maybe your court hearing, and then you get late at that meeting and there's lots of people, and then now your schedule is back to back and you have to juggle between family. That's real stress. That's
Yes.
not synthetic. When your kids are going astray and they're the ones having the problems, but you have all the money in the world, where do you turn to? This is real stress. But you have to operate extremely high with a family also. That's very difficult. That's real stress. And then the synthetic stress. So you want to expose yourself to discomfort, but you must pick. Okay, you must pick um, that discomfort, if you should be adding it or not. Because a lot of coaches will say, "Well, just pick a goal, pick a." No, no. Again, it's about truth. What are you able to handle? And that's the T in next. And next, it's the ownership. the way I could put it is the ownership of not like stories. There's no blaming of anybody else, no hiding. You're talking about raw you and the um and the world. So you're looking at finding your limits. For example, and I use it many times, is Eddie Hall. Eddie Hall has a different mental strength, or he has a similar or different mental strength than me. He's still an elite athlete. He's still an athlete. He's still a, well, I don't know if he is still, but he is the best. Anyway, in my mind, he's the best in the world um, uh, for powerlifting. He's lifting cars. He has a different truth. He has a different purpose or alignment. So for him, again, it's about now finding what is that limit and then pushing that limit. That's what the framework is, right? Which now it doesn't even get to, we can get to a mindset system, but if you regulate all of this, your nervous system, your environment, the exposure, and the truth, where you're supposed to fit in, then you will get to that next level. There, you will get to the next level for sure. I mean, you're talking about nervous system. We're talking about inflammation. So right now, you're going to start looking at your nutrition. You're going to start looking at your sleep patterns. You're going to regulate all of that. That's the basic, and then you're going to trickle down to the rest of the acronym, and you will end up at your next level for that specific test, which is pretty. I think it's an acronym that is pretty general for most people to be able to use it, whether you are an executive or elite athlete or and it can work for the majority of people, even if you are aspiring to be a CEO or aspiring to be at that level. That's what these people are working on. I mean, we work with a guy that again we had to create that structure, but when you start looking at, okay, what does your bedroom look like? And then we had to question that. We had to question what do you eat? And then we had to sit down with the person that is cooking all the meals and making sure that that person is eating the right food. Okay, please don't go too far with this. Okay, I see a lot of people going way too far at the beginning and then trying to change everything at once.
Mhm, the overload. Yeah. Yeah. They're trying to.
Yeah, exactly. They're trying to get to that next level with the shortest amount of time. And what's going to get you to the next level is, it's not just getting to the next level. It's, and I said it at the beginning, it's understanding how you got to the next level. Because if you get to the next level, for some listeners, it might be going from 10K a month to 100K, or even just 0 to 10 a month. Okay. Well, that is the next level. But if you're not careful with how you're knowing how you got there, and all of a sudden you lose everything, and it might happen. It might happen. All of a sudden you have a great business. We look at, well, we talked about Greece. Oh boy, I sympathize for Greece. Oh, with what happened with the EU and what they did to the country. I know it was just a test to put it into the entire world, but imagine, okay, and for those listeners that don't know, people built multi-million dollar businesses. All of a sudden, they took that money and just transfer it to the EU. All the, or if not all, I'd say the majority of them just crashed. Why? Because, well, it was a transfer of currency, and a lot of, they had to sell their houses, they had to sell their businesses. It was a difficult time. If these people, and the people that would succeed in that type of environment, are the people that understood how they got there, and then they're able to thrive. I went to the darkest, I went to the largest slum of Africa, in Kibera in Kenya. That's the largest slum in Africa. And I have seen people still thrive. And we're talking the slums. That's way worse than how the economy was in Greece, and how there's no other worse place in the world. And it's arguable because, well, we can look at war zones, and I've seen people thrive in war. I've heard stories of that. How is that? That's because they created that system. They tried to work within the system, and then they reached a level, they understand it, and they understand how to get to it. That's how they'll be. That's how they'll be able to succeed. Because now the guy in Greece lost everything. What is he going to do? He's going to rebuild it. He understands the whole process. He understood how he got there. Here's how we got there. We got there because A, B, and C. How about we redo A, B, and C? Now the system might have changed. It might have changed. The society might have changed. The currency might have changed. But if I understand the system and how I got there and why I got there, then I'm able to rebuild it. So for me, all I did was what? Just build up on it. I built up on it. Now I understand exactly how I got there. And now I'm able to build a structure. And whether I'm in a tiny little village in Africa, on the continent of Africa, or whether I am in a thriving country that makes lots of money, I'll be able to use these systems, and I'll be able to thrive no matter where I'm at. You can I would be open to it. I would be open to it, to make a social experiment at one point. Mm, yeah, it would be. I think it would be fun. But Grant Cardone did it too.
Yeah.
Grant Cardone did it with his. I think he did it in 90 days. Started with $100, and within 90 days built a $5 million business. How is that real? Is that, well? He understands the system. He understands how to operate, and we've seen shows that are showing this. So I would be open to it. Yeah, let's just create, reoperate that system. Now, I'm not at the level of Grant Cardone. Like he's like years ahead of me, and and I like some of his work. Um, but that's the way that these people operate. You drop a tier 1 operator in the middle of a desert, and that guy is going to find a way to survive. They've been conditioned to do this. That's how they think. So that's the way that you should be thinking also. Use that system to your advantage. Starts with the basic, and the basic are next. What's next? Nervous system. That's your first. Environment over willpower. Create that environment. If it's not created, create it. Create it. You're in a bad relationship. I'm not telling you to get a divorce. I am not telling you to get a divorce. But if your wife is not contributing to your success, you must ensure that she is not in the same room while you're working. She will not understand where you're going. She will not, if she does not, if she's not, right? We've seen, and I've seen couples rise to power. We're looking at Layla and Layla and Alex Hormozy. This is a power couple where you see Alex just being this amazing leader, making hundreds of millions of dollars, but they started with nothing, living in a car, trying to make a gym work, and they built that empire that is now it's acquisition, right? I think it's
Position, yeah.
yeah, and and but he had the well, he was blessed to have that environment where she was helping him. But if you are not in that type of environment, and a lot of people are in a position where they lost their job, so now they're looking at online work, they're at home, they have kids screaming, they have a wife that is, we call it nagging or complaining, or well, instead of getting a divorce, rent a uh, rent a small room into another house. Create that environment where, one, your wife will be secure. You say, there's no other women coming here. It's just me and the computer and trying to figure things out. Stay focused on your task. Don't divert and try to find other partners and try to find another family. Try to focus on where you're heading. And then uh now you created that environment. And that's just one story, right? You need better sleep. Create that environment. If all of a sudden your partner is just kicking you at night for some reason, or they're, I've seen a lot of tier one operators having PTSD, and they're not able to sleep in the same bed as their partner. It becomes a problem with intimacy, and well, I say, and I still use that for me, and is the first time I talk about it on a podcast. But um, I tell those guys to make their closet comfortable, or make another place that is comfortable for them. That is going to be a sleeping place. What's comfortable for you? Is it sleeping on a cold floor in a sleeping bag? And I know a lot of people might not connect with it. They're saying, "Whoa, this is craziness." Well, turn the craziness into something that is useful for your family. You're not leaving your wife. Your wife understands, look, I just need this space. I want to sleep with you, but right now I'm not able to, because I need my sleep. When I get my sleep, my nervous system will be regulated. So again, it's based on creating that environment, not just and following that system, not just and then you can look at more of the neuroscience behind it, and really pushing those boundaries and those limits. But for the majority of the listeners that don't care about, they care about, and that's what I've seen. And I know it was one of your question. What people are caring about is results. Does it provide me results? Yes
Yeah.
or no? I don't care if it's my amygdala firing and whether or not there is a certain part of my brain that needs to operate at peak performance versus another. And I know a lot of biohackers are talking about prefrontal cortex and trying to find, you're losing the sense of common sense. That's what we're losing. Is it providing results? Yes or no? If no, then change system. That's it. Is it bad to not sleep with your wife? Well, if your wife understands it, if your wife understands the pattern, there comes a time. I've seen couples. Um, some women even try to ask if they can sleep with their partner in that location that they pick together, whether it's in the basement or, and I've seen couples reconnecting because of that. Does it become unhealthy? Well, for anybody listening to this, it's completely unhealthy. What are you talking about? Going in the basement or in a closet, sleeping with your partner? But if you're helping with his PTSD, if you're helping in this environment, or even just leaving him alone just for this little moment, for this brief moment until they can get better and heal, and well, for them, it's healthy. So for these people that are doing these massive events. We're talking EpicDeca, and there's a lot of other people. There's guys that are running marathons for days, and there's guys that are, well, for them it becomes a healthy, as long as it becomes healthy, as long as it become healthy. So guys like David Goggins, I like his work. I think great audience. I like. I know
Really?
I started looking at his work, but now he is all broken up. He is in a position where screws in his knees, and he's. Is it healthy? Well, to him, it might have been healthy. Now doesn't create much longevity and health, and it will be harder for him in um, pun intended, long run. in the long run, for him, it will be a difficult path. Pun intended again.
Yeah.
um,
It's not.
because he's not. Again, if let's say we take a guy, I think it's unhealthy. Okay, that's my personal opinion. I think it's unhealthy at that level because now he just completely destroyed his body, and it will be difficult for him to have a comeback. Um, let's say we would have looked at David Goggins, very well known. People will be able to relate. Nervous system first. If he looked at his level of energy, his sleep, the inflammation, if he looked at all of that, if he looked at even the hormone hormone imbalance, if he looked at all of those, just with the next, we're talking about one acronym. If he started with the basic, that guy would have had a much longer um
Yeah.
much
Career,
longer
much
stay in
longer.
the game.
You would have longevity. Yes. Longevity. Yes.
Exactly. Right, so he still created that exposure, that exposure to discomfort, that he's known for that.
Yeah. Yeah.
uh he's still living his truth because, well, his truth is based on what he's good at. Well, he's amazing at making the content and getting the right crowd all motivated. And okay, so he has all of that, that environment. So he created that environment. He pushed a lot of things aside to get to his next goal. Then I believe, in my opinion, he forgot the end. So if he started with that structure and followed the system, then I would say he would have, like you said, more
Yeah.
longevity. Yeah.
Yeah. Because I think also from what I've read, let's say he was overweight running marathons and he broke completely, right? So that he didn't have the right support of muscle system to do this extreme stuff. That I like this approach. I like also the fact that you mentioned for people to be true to what they need to, true to themselves, but also be a bit intelligent on how what discomfort they put themselves into, right? And because certain things can be reckless. Um, Now, coming to truth and purpose, you mentioned before that you found purpose within this extreme environment, but also I know you're very active in giving back, etc. So I'd love to hear what is your purpose.
Well, I'd say that purpose is, I don't want to use not found, more so like discovered, or because I know that finding purpose, I know I use this term a lot, and a lot of people perceive it as, well, I'm going to stumble on it. And and I'm just going to it's just going to magically appear because I stay in bed and I'm going to find my purpose. And or I'm going to go run long marathons and I'm going to find my purpose. And purpose is, it's built through those repeated alignment of like these tasks that you're doing daily. That's what will generate that purpose. And what you do, what what do you value? What are your value system and who you serve? For me, I'm a Christian. So who do you serve? Well, I serve Jesus Christ. That's who I serve. What number one, that's who I serve. Do I fail? 100%. Yes. 100% I fail. I'm never going to be like him. I'm never going to be as perfect as he is. I make mistakes. Okay. But this is who I serve at first. And that's why, to me, when I did the EpicDeca, I know my team and my crew did not agree with it. I prioritized my values were about preaching the gospel. And
Mhm.
it was um I had little cards that I carry. I don't have my wallet right now and with me. I can't prove it, but it's in my wallet. I always carry these little cards with these verses. And when I was doing the EpicDeca, I when people would ask me certain questions, and mind you, I'm in the middle of 10 Ironman. My face is burned. My lips are chapped. You're putting lip balm on your lips with so much Vaseline type, and you're still chapped. It's really hot. You look like you are 70, 80, 90 years old. You're all burned, and you're but somehow, to me, my value system was, no, I need to talk about Jesus. And my crew knew that it was my top priority. So when people were asking me question, uh, I would stop the race. Or I did not see it as a race, more like an event. But I would stop, talk to people, give them Bible verses, and talk to them about it. I remember on Ironman 6, we're on Lanai, and there was this kid, and I did the swim. He really liked how I did the swim faster than anybody else. He really liked it. He said, "Wow, this guy has something." And there was the bike, so I did the bike. And during the bike, Lanai is a very, very tiny island. So we were doing laps, and so during those laps, him and his dad went on the side of the road and they cheered. They were the only people who cheered, and they stayed for the entire duration of that bike ride. Mind you, we're talking about 8, 9 hours of just cycling, trying to do 180K under. They had no umbrella. I remember giving them a shirt, one of my shirt that said EpicDeca on it. I tried to give them some food also to encourage them. But then he came to me during the run because I said, "Do you want to run with me?" So now I'm about to go for the nightly run. I say nightly because we had 24 hours to do these events before we head to the next place, then the next island. And we're starting to run, and he asked the question, and he said, "Why are you doing this?" And I tell him, "Well, I'm a Christian," and he wants to know more about it. So we start talking about Jesus, and we talked for hours and hours, the whole duration of it. And that would be limping, and then I'm sleeping real quick, like 5, 10 minutes, waking up, running again, trying to finish that next event. And to me, that was the pinnacle of the race. And I would say I accomplished the race was just talking to this kid or talking to these people, because that is my mandate essentially as a Christian. So And again, without pushing to like onto anyone. The kid was generally wanting to know. I never spoke to the kid again. It was just in that moment I spoke to him, and we had an amazing chat without pushing him, without forcing religion into him. It was just all right in that moment. And I don't know if he became Christian. I don't know. To me, it's more of, well, this is what I have to do. That's it. Through my actions and through my words, I am to talk about this. So again, that purpose, you don't just stumble on it. You're going through it by repeated alignment. In essence, for me, right, wake up in the morning, read what? Read your Bible, obviously. So because you're a Christian, you have to do this. You have to meditate day and night on the Bible. That's scripture. So again, see, that for people that are not religious, I would say that the EpicDeca didn't give me purpose. I would say that for them, that might be through giving back. So maybe they will find more purpose by helping others. And we can find it in books like, what's the book? Napoleon Hill, Think Rich, Grow
You
Rich.
can, yeah, think and grow rich. Yeah.
Yeah, Think and Grow Rich, exactly. And he talks about finding a sense of purpose into helping others. Now, Christianity has the exact same concept, but for him, I just want to reach everybody here without uh, pushing Christianity into it. I'm saying this is my purpose, but for others that don't want to follow a religious system or don't want to be Christian, that's fair. Sometimes you will find it into helping others. So we shifted even the company, the Hungry Warrior Academy, is now um, helping children. So we could buy we could buy fancy cars or more centers to help more people and more make way more money. And we saw that, well, there are certain people in the world that are in a financial situation or in a very difficult place, and they don't see these opportunities. They have lots of opportunities, they're just not seeing them. So we're blessed that we can now help other people thrive, not just by making money, but also while we make money, we're able to also transfer it to the most needy, the most needy. So that's what I would say is the how you find that purpose is through these repeated actions. And you're not going to find it at first. At first it's going to be something, and here I'm going to talk to someone who's an electrician. Look at this. You're an electrician. There's no way you're not an executive. You're not I've talked about tier 1 and elite. Okay, let's talk about the electrician, the guy that goes to work as a construction worker, or even a family man. What's your purpose? Well, what about giving back to your family? Maybe that's what they're looking for. Maybe they're looking for not just finances, but they're looking for time with you. I know it's been a huge problem in society right now, where fathers are sometimes not taking care of their kids, or in some cases unable to take care of their kids in certain court situations. Try your best if that's what your kid is needing. Or if you can't see your kid because of a court problem, well, how about you rebuild yourself? And then over the years, your kid is going to see the person that you became. And and you know that you're doing it for him or for that little girl. So it's not just for this whole system. Finding purpose isn't now just for this executive that now has millions of dollars and multiple mentions and flying in private jets. This is for everyone. This is for everyone. You have a purpose. See, the way Christianity would look at it, and again, well, I'm going with Christianity, but go with, you can call it the universe, you can call it God, and whatever you want to call it. Something, somewhere, someone, I call it God, put breath into you. That breath of life gave you a purpose. What is that purpose? You think that God is just going to create a pawn? That pawn is the... No! That pawn has a purpose. Ask any chess player. That pawn has a purpose. So, and that's what I see with, and I would say the high achievers have that problem. They have that as a much bigger problem than even, or I would say it's at the same level. I would say it's at the same level because they're having it in different aspect. Okay. They try to prove their strength, but they're trying to prove it by enduring misalignment. They're trying to prove, oh, look, I'm more successful than you because I can buy more cars. Well, congratulations. Congratulations. Yeah.
Tying your identity to success,
Yeah.
etc. It can be dangerous. Yeah.
You're staying in the wrong mission, in the wrong, I talked about it earlier, wrong environment. You're staying in the wrong you talked about it, the wrong identity. And even then, they still call it discipline. They're saying, "Oh yeah, I'm disciplined. Look at how much cars I was able to accomplish," or look how many. Well, David Goggins said, "Well, see how disciplined I am," or no, this is not toughness. You're not tough. You're not. It's a slow self-destruction. That's what you're doing. Real hard performance, they don't just push harder. They don't. They realign faster. That's what I would say.
Okay.
That's what they would do.
What is it needed? Okay. Yeah.
If all of a sudden you're seeing a problem with your nervous system, boom, realign. Fix it. There you go. Wife is nagging. There's a reason why. There's a reason why. Well, it's because there's a reason why. Kids are screaming all over. There's a reason why. There's a reason why. That's it. Fix it. Realign. Go. That's how they operate. You think you okay? Picture this: you're at the Olympics, and all of a sudden, you're not doing optimal. Well, that's the race. That's the race. That's what we see. We only see those 9.8 seconds of Usain Bolt. That's all we see.
Yeah. We don't see that the bottom of the
Yes.
iceberg. Yeah.
We
Yeah.
don't see that, well, he started here and then he misfired and he had to realign 1 degree. Well, 1 degree is not going to change much if you're looking at a boat going 100 meters or 100 yards or nautical miles, or even if it's 1 nautical mile, you're not changing much the course. But if all of a sudden you're crossing the Atlantic with 1 degree, and that's just 1 degree, of course, see how much your trajectory can change? So it's again based on these, follow that next system, follow this and realign immediately. Immediately, boom, there you go. Something's wrong. Look, we have a client. Whenever he eats, for him it's dairy. Okay, now I'm not saying that dairy is wrong, and please just bear with me, okay? I'm just saying, for him, dairy is wrong. It's bad, and we're talking bad. Okay, we're talking about. I'll spare the details. I'll spare the details. Okay, it's bad, and then people that know lactose intolerance with
Yeah.
someone,
I imagine.
it's
Yeah.
not just the gurgling and it's real bad. He knows that if he eats that specific cake that has dairy, or that specific meal that has dairy, or he loves ice cream. Loves ice cream. Is he gonna eat some coconut ice cream? I love coconut ice cream. It's amazing. I think it's really good for you. But he doesn't like that. He likes that fresh dairy ice cream, or that's what he likes. Well, he plans it when he knows he doesn't have, he's on vacation, or he doesn't have any business meeting that is really important. He knows he will get sick. So he's making a
Fantastic.
compromise. He's making a compromise. He knows I will get sick, but I want that ice cream. Is he stopping himself? He's stopping himself in the now, helping him achieve a higher state of mind. But in the later run, he's going to eat that ice cream for sure. So again, is he realigning? He's realigning immediately. Boom.
Mhm.
They change very, very, very fast. I know it's even a trend on TikTok, on all of these social media, where these high achievers, you get on a bad date, and there's no, we're not just talking about chemistry, we're talking about misalignment, complete misalignment. You go on a date, there's, these guys don't have time. You don't have the time and the energy to waste on someone. I had a nice date, I paid for it, I'm the man, good, perfect, goodbye. You will, is it ghosting? Is it, that's the ghosting age. Well, I don't have time. I don't have the time and the energy.
As we wrap up, um, how can people learn more about your work and on high performance? What is the best way to reach you or follow you?
I go to hungrywarrioracademy.com if you want to learn more about our services. If you want to be someone that is only helping out, you don't have a lot of money and you just want to help out our cause, we have lots of partnerships that we're developing, collaborations with companies to provide value to even more people, and to the world around. We have a conference coming up in California at the end of the year in October. So if you reach out to us, you might be able to attend. It's not, there's, we try to put our events so we can break even, and we try to deliver as much value. Um, if you don't have the money, just please at least grab the free booklet. That's it. That I'll be sending Georgios. We have I have a book online. It's on Amazon. It's been a bestseller, so that you can learn more about it. And if you love our work, reach out. And if you hate us, please reach out also. I love to hear about haters. I love to hear about people that, yes, because see, those are the people that, again, and I said it, you realign faster. That's it. If they're complaining, if they're hating, there might be a misalignment, maybe not, but at least I'll be considering it. And if I don't need to consider it, and I need to show, let's see, anyway, Jesus did not realign, or he he made sure that, well, he was in alignment, and he was right. So, but he was hated, and he still prayed for them, and that's what I do. I love to see people thriving. That's what we do. We help men thrive and be successful in their field, and that's what we love. We're pleased that people are thriving. That's when we are excited, because that's what we're doing. So they can reach out hungrywarrioracademy.com, and they can book some consult. And when they come to the center, this is not just a, I'm going to yell at you profanity, and or even yell at you for this is a science base. Like, I'm a naturopath practitioner, so I use science to provide data points to help people achieve a peak performance. We have medical machines that help with achieve um, a better mental state. We have and be more focused and have data points showing this is how the brain fires and operates. We've done lots and lots of research. We have medical machines that scan all the organs and make sure that you are at peak performance and you have stability in your system, and then you have guidance throughout the process. So this is not just um, a guy who was in the military and who wants to yell at you because he's frustrated at life. If you want to get yelled at, please get into a bad relationships. You will get probably better. You will get better results for sure, because when it's all over, you'll go to the gym and then you'll end up in my office anyway. So I win anyway. So please go to hungrywarrioracademy.com. And if it's not a right fit, we'll try to find some other practitioner or some other people that are able to provide the best results. It's an approach that might not fit with everybody, and we're conscious and we can't help everybody. So we're very pleased of how it's growing, how we're helping people to achieve their performance, and we're loving everybody, haters and lovers. We love them, and no matter when, we pray for them. So yeah, thank you, Georgios, for
My
having me.
pleasure, and thanks so much for sharing the inspiring story about your personal journey and also the system, which I find quite interesting. I'll put it also on the bio, and see how to try it as well, and I'll let you know.
Oh
So
yeah,
thanks
I'd love to
again.
hear feedback from it. Yeah,
Of course,
exactly, how it's changing your life.
I
Yeah,
was changing my life, of course.
yeah.
JD, a pleasure. All the best for the future. We'll be in touch, and for everyone listening or watching, thanks so much, and I'll see you in the next episode.